Hello, Virgo, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your recent past in love, your current energy in love, and your immediate future in love. The goal is to answer what do you need to know in order to move forward and attract the love that you are truly deserving and desiring of. As I do in all of my readings, I've pulled the overall energy and clarified those messages, as well as the overall theme for the reading, which we'll jump into in just a second. I have the tarot deck I'll be using, as well as the clarification deck and the advice deck that I'll be using to close out the reading in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate, helps your personal situation, and leave what does not. Just to break, this is my first time ever doing this spread on my channel for this round of zodiac readings, so I just want to break down the spread a little bit more. So we're basically going to be looking at what is your past experience in love and how has that affected you currently. So needing to kind of get a good idea of what's going on in your past, how it's affecting you currently, where the blockages lie, and then what you need to know so that you can move forward in a way to create better outcomes and experiences for yourself. So it's kind of similar to my other past, present, future readings, but this one is going to be solely focused on your love life and specifically how to attract love into your life. So if you are currently in a relationship, this might not be for you, but there could be stuff in here for you too. Again, take what resonates. So, all right, Virgo, let's jump into your recent past. You have shedding with the 5 of Cups. There's obviously a lot of disappointment in your recent past. It feels like you are always having to, and maybe this has been with one person in particular, or this is for relationships, a general theme in your relationships. But it feels, like you're always having to, I don't know if it's like start over or be the one that changes or is accommodating, or like and then it always ends up you get disappointed anyway by people. It's like basically it feels like you are used to always being let down, but yet doing everything you can to not let others down. And I feel as if that has really affected the way that you view your value, because when we show up, for other people and we're constantly doing what we can so that other people feel valued and loved and all those things that we're looking for, but then they don't return that or end up just kind of letting us down in the end, it can really, we can start to have this belief that nothing that we do matters, and no matter how hard we try, no one will ever love us for who we really are, which I feel is part of the problem in your current energy, because in your current energy, you have harping with the 2 of Wands in reverse. So harping on something is kind of like dwelling on it. And, I feel like the more you dwell on why people treated you a certain way and why that person didn't love you and what you could have done different in order to make that person love you, the more that you're focused on the other person's love instead of what this situation was trying to bring to the surface for you, like what you're needing to learn about it. Because the overall theme for the reading is love yourself first. It says your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. So there's this energy of trying to get other people to love you, yet not fully loving you. And that's hard because sometimes we don't even realize that we're doing that. We don't fully realize that we're looking for the love of ourselves through the love of other people. Like we believe that other people valuing us or loving us inherently makes us more valuable or lovable, which isn't true. Other people are merely a reflection of the love and the value that we have within us. So when we're always looking for other people to love us in the way that we deserve, but we don't fully love us in the way that we deserve, other people are always going to reflect back that lack of love that we have for ourselves, which is going to just deepen this belief that we're not lovable and we're not good enough. And then it's just kind of a cycle that runs itself. So as you move forward, what you need to know, you have direction with the 2 of Cups. We got to switch things up. Our internal compass I'm not talking about your intuition, but I'm talking about where you typically, like, there's a difference between instinct and intuition. Your instinct is always going to pull you to what is familiar. Your intuition is always going to pull you to what's right for you. Sometimes we will mistake what is familiar for what's right, which will actually keep us from what is actually best for us. Your internal compass is a little off, and it's stuck on trying to repeat the past but get a different outcome, which is how we create a cycle. So needing to understand less about what we could have done differently to make other people love us more, and understand how we need to love us more so that we attract that love back into our life. Because this is, our life is merely a mirror, and our relationships with other people are merely a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. So the more that we can get in tune with how that relationship is being reflected back at us, the more that we can take control over what it is that we can change, because we can't change other people. We can't get other people to treat us different, to be different. All we can do is we can change ourselves, and as we change ourselves, the people around us do and will change. Or fall away, or you'll attract ones that are more meant for you. So I think this is a good reading. It's just we're going to get a little deep, which this is the second reading I've done of this spread, and I just did the Capricorn one, and it was deep too. So, all right, Virgo. Let's start by looking at this past energy you have shedding with the 5 of Cups here. What does Virgo need to know about their past energy? Something turned over, but I can't find it. Okay, Queen of Cups in reverse. 10 of Swords. Okay. Whew. It feels like, and I kind of talked about this with that very first card, but it feels like there's this energy of maybe always feeling betrayed by the people that you give your love to. So, you're always giving out love, you're always there to help other people, you're always there to, be there for others, but then at the end of the day, you never receive that energy back, and you end up feeling betrayed. And that can be really difficult, because then you start to say, wow, I did everything I could and I showed up in the best way that I know how, and this is what I got out of it, which then you will start to say, which means that the best I ever have equals getting betrayed. But that's not really what this is about, because the Queen of Cups in reverse is an energy of our emotions kind of running the show. So making very emotional decisions instead of grounded ones, meaning listening to our emotion over our intuition. And our emotion is always going to be rooted in kind of our fear and our doubt and our insecurity. And when we make decisions from that place, we will always lead to our fear, doubt, and insecurity being shown back to us, being proven to us in some way, shape, or form. So we gotta get down to the bottom of what's really going on here, because this isn't, this 10 of Swords isn't an indication that you can't or never will have the love that you deserve or desire. It's an indication that there's something that needs to be brought to the surface and healed so that this doesn't continue to repeat itself. Now, abandonment and betrayal and all of those things that, we might experience in the endings of the relationships with the people we really care about, it can really mess up the way that we view relationships as a whole and ourselves, and it can make us think that we are literally never going to be loved well. And then when we start to believe those things, we start to act in alignment with those beliefs, and then that is actually what we create, and it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we got to switch the prophecy. Switch around the self-fulfilling prophecy here. But all right, let's get a little bit more here for Virgo. What does Virgo to know? Seven of Pentacles with the Eight of Wands. Hang on, I want clarity on this Eight of Wands really quick. Okay, the Hangman in reverse. So this is this energy of giving all of yourself very quickly to something, to someone. And just kind of like throwing yourself into something in a way without taking a second to say, it's like approaching something from this place of how and what can I do to make sure that this person values me, instead of asking, does this person align with what I'm deserving of? You know, and when we do that, we create this foundation and a connection that says, this is all about you. My needs don't matter. You know, I'm here to be fulfilling for you. And then when our needs don't get met, we get disappointed because we're like, wow, you know, I gave everything I had, but that was the foundation that was created. So the approach to your connections in the past, or in one connection in particular, and this might not be fun to hear, but I think that it might help you kind of understand the root of everything, is it's coming from this place of how can I make this person love me? Instead of how can I make sure this person is able to love me in the way that I deserve? Instead of saying, you know, is this the love I'm truly deserving of? You're saying, how can I make this person, you know, see me and value me? Now, the thing is, the people who are truly meant for you will see you and value you without you having to prove that. And I think that that's a lot of what the problem is you're coming from this place of trying to do whatever you can for the other person to value you or to see you or to love you without taking a second to make sure that it's enough for you, without making sure that what that person is doing for you is enough for you. Which then in the end, you kind of end up getting screwed over, and then you think back and you go, why wasn't I enough? Why wasn't the love that I gave or the effort that I gave enough? When in reality, it was never about you not being enough. It was about you looking for what you are ultimately desiring and deserving of in someone who was never able to provide it for you, because you were never taking the second to say, is this person capable of loving me in the way that I deserve? You were so focused on loving them, or getting them to love you, instead of making sure they were capable of it. Because someone who loves you and someone who knows how to love you are two very different things. I made a video on this a couple of weeks ago, because anybody can love you. You know, not very many people are going to actually be willing and capable to show up for that love. So when we focus on how to get someone to love us, we're saying, I feel unlovable and I need you to love me so that I feel lovable. I don't feel good enough for love, so I need you to see my values so that I feel good enough for love, which inherently is going to reflect back at us more being unloved and undervalued. I hope that's making sense. All right, what else does Virgo need to know about this past energy? Taking on the burdens of other people. It's like you are so focused on being the light in the lives of those that you love, which is such a wonderful quality. And I hope you never lose that, because that is not a bad thing. But you also are deserving of experiencing that light too. You know, when you're always there for someone and you're always supporting someone and you're loving them and you're, you know, constantly showing up for them, but then you're not receiving that back, you are inherently telling yourself this person's needs are more important than my own. And as long as I am taking care of their needs, then maybe they'll continue to stay or they'll continue to love me. Even if it's not what I truly deserve, it's better than nothing, you know. And we kind of develop this lack mentality around love, which we tend to feel that we lack love when we've never really experienced it in the way that we truly deserve. So I don't want you to think that this is me saying that you're doing anything wrong or dang, Virgo, you're so desperate. And that's not the point of this. You know, so many of us come from this approach of I need this person to love me, or I need to be something in order for this person to love me, instead of saying I am lovable and I am valuable, and the people who are meant to love me and value me will see that without me having to prove, without me having to fix them or change them or heal them or prove it to them. And I feel like that's why the overall theme of this reading is you loving yourself first, because now you're in this energy of dwelling on why somebody didn't love you in the way that you deserve. What was wrong with you? Why weren't you good enough? It was never that you weren't good enough. It's that you from the beginning felt you weren't good enough, so you were trying to prove that you were good enough, which inherently led to this feeling of, or this experience of being shown, quote unquote, that you're not good enough, which is just a reflection of the belief that you already had going into it. So, what does Virgo need to know right now in their current energy? What does Virgo need to know about their current energy? What you need to know is that you have not reached a destination. You are merely in the middle of a journey right now, the Eight of Cups. And you can still have what it is that you're looking for, the fulfillment that you are looking for in love. Okay, you can have that still. That is absolutely still possible for you, and the universe wants you to know that through this reading. But what you need to know is it's not about becoming better for other people. It's not about being what you think other people want you to be or what you think other people need you to be. It's about unbecoming those things, actually unbecoming what you've been taught to be, what other people expected of you, and stepping into being who you really are and loving that authentic, raw version of yourself first. When we don't love who we fully are, all facets of ourselves, flaws, insecurities, and all, we will often search for other people to love us despite those things, instead of understanding that we are lovable because of those things. You are lovable because of who you are as a person. You know, we all have good things about us, and we all have a shadow side. We all have things about us that we don't love. Every single person on this planet, every single person who has ever been alive has both good things and bad things about them. And the problem is that we have been taught that those things that we don't love about ourselves make us not as valuable or make us not as lovable. And that's not true. You are not difficult to love. You are not less lovable because of your flaws. You don't even have to fix those things in order to attract the love you're truly desiring of. That's not what this is about. This isn't about becoming something better or showing up as more than you are. This is about learning to value and love who you truly are as a whole, and recognizing that people who don't determine that value that you have. They literally that means that person isn't meant to value you or isn't meant to be in your life and love you in the way that you deserve. But the more that you focus on how you could have made someone love you more, the more that you are focusing on how other people determine your value, instead of recognizing that you actually determine your value, but you aren't fully valuing yourself enough to attract that reflection of that value back. Again, you're in the middle of a journey. This isn't a destination. What else does Virgo need to know? Death in reverse, Four of Pentacles in reverse with a Five of Swords here. Okay. I feel like you have this experience of getting like the rug ripped out from underneath you, like being blindsided by someone's behavior or actions. However, I feel as if, and this, I feel like when I talk about this, this is, I don't know if taboo is the right way, but I do feel like people get very defensive when I bring this up. Anytime we are blindsided by someone's actions, there were always signs. But we didn't want to see something for the reality of what it was because we were hoping that it was something different than that. And when I say that, I mean people show who they are in all moments. They show who they are in how they communicate with you, how they respect your time, how they listen to you. People show you who they are before they do the big things. We have to learn to be willing to see people who they are, not who we hope that they will become or who we want them to be. But the reason that we tend to see people as we want them to be is because we fear that if they are not who we want them to be, that we are not going to have what it is that we truly desire and deserve and love. So I feel like what it comes down to is you have this feeling that love is a finite experience. There's only so much, there's only so much of it. It's something that is rare. That isn't true. Love is abundant and it is in all things, but it is only going to be reflected back at you when you find it within yourself. And I feel like the hardest part about that is we focus so much, and this is where, I'm kind of getting into this message here. We focus so much on what other people need to do differently and how other people should have treated us better. And you might be 100% right about that, okay? You might be 1,000% right about how other people should have done better. But at the end of the day, we cannot control other people. We have to get real with ourselves on what we could have done differently. And I don't mean in terms of making that person love you more. I mean, how could you have set better boundaries? How could you have spoken up and been a little bit more clear about your needs? How could you have shown up as your authentic self? The more that we focus on how could I shown up with more love for myself instead of how could I have shown up to make that person love me more, that right there is where you start to shift your mindset around love and where you start to create different experiences. But I feel like so much of your focus has been on maybe the other person or what you could have done differently or why you weren't valuable enough or why, they did whatever. That is never going to lead you to understanding what is within your control. In fact, it's going to continue to make you feel more and more powerless because there's nothing you can do to change it. What else does Virgo need to know about their current energy in love? There you are. And there's the Two of Wands in reverse. We have to understand that aligning with the love that we truly desire is about becoming the love that we truly desire. It's not about, and I feel like I'm saying this a lot in this reading, it's not about becoming something bigger than we are. It's about learning to show up as our own best partner first. And there's this energy of looking for somebody else to love you, but not fully loving you. And that's common and that's natural and you're not doing anything wrong, okay? But I do think that this is the biggest mistake that people make in their relationships is they look for love in somebody else without first finding it in themselves. Now, other people are here, our relationships to other people are our biggest lessons in this life. They help us grow. They help us see things about ourselves that we need to see so that we can, show up better for ourselves and for others. But when we are so focused on when we're so focused on what has happened to us, we're not focused on what we need to see in order for us to align more with the love that we deserve, we will always be a victim. You will always be the person that is getting screwed over, that other people are treating poorly, that, whatever the case might be. I really have learned, and again, I feel like these are triggering truths, so I'm trying to deliver them in the best way I know how. I really have learned that people can only hurt us to the extent that we let them. And people, again, will always show us who they really are, and our gut will always know the answer. Your gut will say, yes, this person is capable of loving you in the way that you deserve, or no, this is not meant for you, get out, walk away, like red flashing light, warning, warning, warning. But then when we feel like every opportunity for love must work out or else we'll never have the love that we deserve and desire, we're going to completely ignore those warning signs, and we are going to do everything in our power to make it work. And we give and we give and we try and we try and we overextend and we burn ourselves out, and it still doesn't turn into what we deserve and desire because it was never meant to. It was never meant for us. It never aligned with us. We were trying to make it into something it's not by investing in it and valuing it and overgiving, and that is never going to lead you to the love that you truly desire. So when we come from this place of lack, we will always search for it in the wrong places. But when we come from this place of knowing that we are lovable and deserving, that the love that we truly deserve and desire is out there, the way that we move will be very different because we won't be focused so much on how to be loved. We will focus more on making sure that the love that shows up in our life aligns with the love that we have for ourselves. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so what does Virgo need to know moving forward? You have direction with the Two of Cups here. So your inner compass is a little bit off. It wants, we often, especially when things have fallen apart in our relationships, we often crave repeating those experiences and trying to get a different outcome because they bring up wounds that we're looking to be healed, and you cannot heal in the same places or cycles that hurt you. So if you are continuing to repeat the same experiences in your relationship, it's because you're looking for a different outcome, but the outcome you're looking for doesn't exist in that cycle. So here's what you need to know moving forward. Three of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, and Six of Pentacles in reverse. True, sustainable, genuine, healthy connections come from a place of partnership where both people in the connection are handling their stuff, showing up for themselves, doing the healing, doing the growth, and taking accountability, and it's happening on both sides. And then that they come together and they kind of work as a team. You are not required to bear the burden of a relationship, Virgo. You are not required to be the only one putting in effort, to be the only one being vulnerable, to be the only one trying to push it to grow and to push it forward into something else. But that's been your experience. Is being like relationships being very one-sided. Not talking about unrequited love, like someone might love you but not know how to show up for that love. Relationships are not supposed to be one-sided, but you are so used to those one-sided connections that you actually continue to get yourself into them because you are so familiar with that dynamic. When I met my fiance, my current partner, I had never experienced an ounce of healthy love in my life. I had only ever been in toxic relationships, one-sided, either I was the giver or the taker. I was never healthy. And I didn't understand what a true partnership meant because I never actually believed that it was possible. I never believed that, because relationships are 50-50. And I don't mean you are giving 50% of the time all the time and they're giving 50% of the time all the time. That's not what I mean. But, you might have 30 some days, and if you only have 30% to give, they pick up the slack and they give 70. But then on some days you have 80 because you're feeling good, but they only have 20 because they're not in the best place. Some days it is 50-50. Some days you give more. Some days you give less. But it's always balanced out in reciprocation. I had never had that. I didn't believe it existed. It does exist, and that is what you are deserving of, a partnership. Someone who is just as willing to do the work, to respect your boundaries, to show up for you, to communicate, to be vulnerable, to, work on themselves, to create better habits, to grow. That is what you are deserving of, and that is what you should be looking for. Not looking for someone who can just love you and figuring out how you can make someone love you, but for someone who can love you the right way, which honestly, you got to figure out what that looks like for you. What does being loved in the right way really look like for you here, Virgo? What does that partnership look like? And then if someone isn't aligning with that, kick them to the curb, because that isn't someone who is able to be what it is that you deserve. What else does Virgo need to know moving forward? Letting go of past heartbreak. This is probably the hardest thing about moving forward into better love, is we have to learn to understand that the heartbreak we've experienced was on some level trying to help us, trying to get us to see where we weren't valuing ourselves, where we needed to learn to show up for ourselves more, to love ourselves more. Because at the end of the day, if someone else is abandoning us, there is self-abandonment. If someone else is betraying us, there's self-betrayal. If someone isn't choosing you, you're not choosing yourself. And when we are able to look at all of our relationships as a mirror, we then take responsibility for what we can do to grow. Our relationships and the people that we're in relationships with do not carry the burden of our growth just as much as we don't carry the burden of their growth. We carry the burden of our own growth. And the more that we grow and we show up in the best way for ourselves, the more that our relationships are going to reflect that. And if they don't, then that is literally a sign from the universe to say this person or this situation does not align with you. You keep getting stuck into situations that don't truly align with you and then trying to change them into something that they're not, which is always going to leave you heartbroken. That is the number one way we set ourselves up to heartbreak is we take something and we try to change it into something that isn't. And we do it because we don't think that we can have it unless we have that level of control over it. But that right there is what blocks us from what's really meant for us and what we're truly capable of experiencing. All right, what else does Virgo need to know moving forward? The biggest thing that's blocking you is the past. You're so stuck on the past, it's almost like you're closed off to moving forward, which is keeping you from being able to experience anything different. Now, that isn't fully your fault. As humans, we have a tendency to prefer a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. So when we continue to choose situations, and I might not be like the past in terms of like one specific person, but like a specific dynamic, where you're always the one giving or you're attracting emotionally unavailable people, you're very stuck on experiencing a different outcome of some past experience that you're not recognizing that will never lead you to what it is that you deserve and desire. You have to be willing to open yourself up to moving forward into new experiences and believe that is going to attract the right things into your life. Remember, your internal compass is a little misguided right now. It is wanting to take you to what is familiar, what is predictable, and what can be repeated. That's what your ego knows, that it can survive what you're used to. Even though better experiences exist ahead of you, and that is how you can attract the love that you truly desire, is by changing your approach and demanding more for yourself with love, and being willing to leave behind anything that doesn't align with that, because that's the hardest part. The first step in saying yes to what it is that we want to attract into our life is being willing to say no to anything that doesn't align with that. But if we are not fully aligning with the love for ourselves, we are not going to recognize when someone isn't loving us properly, because we aren't loving ourselves properly. So a lot in this reading, but I do feel like you need to get a little bit more in tune with yourself so you can fix this internal compass. If you're being drawn to people that are emotionally unavailable, or drawn to people that continue to betray you or let you down, that is not your intuition. That is your ego and your instinct to go back to what you know and what is familiar. That is your instinct to repeat past patterns and past experiences out of hopes for a different outcome. It's insanity is the definition of it is in repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I'm not saying you are insane, by any means, but it is very much human nature for us to often do the same thing over and over, expect a different outcome, and then get disappointed when things don't change. So instead of focusing so much on what other people can change, focus on what you can change. How can you redirect your approach? You know, how can you love yourself more? That's basically what this reading is saying. How can you show up loving yourself first and saying anyone who doesn't isn't worth your time or your energy because that person does not align with your highest good. But it's not as easy as that, and I know that that is the case, but the universe is asking you to have an open mind as you move forward and understand that, you know, moving away from things that don't serve you is only going to take you to bigger and better places and spaces, but it's also, you have to be willing to do it in order to experience that. And, you know, I have a lot of people who will be like, oh, I just can't move on. No, you're choosing not to move on. Why did I put that there? You're choosing not to move on because you think that your happiness or your ability to be loved exists in the past, which is making it seem like you can't because your instinct is consistently drawing you back to it and you're letting it happen because you are hoping for a different result, even though the same thing keeps repeating. So, wow, a lot going on there. We're going to hop on over to the extended. We just focused on what you need to know right now in order to align with your higher self to create the love you desire and deserve. The extended is what you can do. So kind of more focusing on tangible actions for what you can do in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self to attract the love you deserve and desire. As always, thank you so much, Virgo, for your support of my channel. I do hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, Virgo, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Virgo.